Hi, welcome. I'm Bernadette Logue, and today this vlog is all about how to trust that the universe is supporting you. I'm going to share with you a few examples of how it might show up quite surprisingly in your life, help you have a little more faith, not only when you're seeing the evidence of the support of the universe and the signs, but also when you're not. So let's get into it right now. Okay, so first things first, we are here as a community for all types of people with all types of belief systems. So when I'm talking about the universe, you might be thinking of that as the quantum field, the energy field, the intelligent force that gives life to all things. You might be thinking of that from a very spiritual perspective. You might be thinking of that from a religious perspective, and you may call that different things depending on what your faith, religion, spirituality base is. Whatever your gig is, I respect it totally. And just know that when I use the word universe, I mean all of those things. That's just the language that I use. So having said that, yes, the universe does support you. The universe supports us all. We know it supports us because our hearts are beating. So we're here having this ride called life, and something is supporting us to be here. We don't get to choose that our heart beats. We can do our best to stay alive, but we all know that there's something going on that has us here, that had us be here in the first place, that has us here now. And most people have this deep, deep kind of sense within them, even if they've got no evidence to support it, that there's something. People have felt this way for centuries in all different kinds of cultures and countries and places and times. People have had that sense of knowingness. There are then particular times in your life where things happen and you really feel like you've been shown that you're being supported. They are things that I would call signs or signals, things like synchronicities, coincidences, unseen helping hands, experiences that you have where you feel like life engineered something for you, where there was something that wasn't by your own hand. Maybe it was like a divine timing thing, a divine unfolding, like I said, synchronicity or something like that, where you felt that it was really shown to you, okay? Doesn't really matter how that turns up, can be different for different people, but you get that sense that that just happened, that's crazy, that's amazing, I'm getting supported, and it's beyond just little old me in this world trying to figure it out. Now, that's really cool when that happens because you feel connected, right? You feel connected to your life force, your source, something cool and amazing going on around you that is something you could tap into, right? You get interested in tapping into it. Then you kind of start to want more of it. You want to see it. You want to be shown. You want the signs. You want the synchronicities. You want the miracles. You want the blessings. So then sometimes you can try and work out how to make it happen. Like maybe I'll pray a lot more about it, or maybe I'll meditate a lot more, or maybe I need to do some more visualization, or maybe I need to do X, Y, Z different things where I can kind of engineer it. And what happens is you might start to get concerned when there's an absence of visible support, when I'm not noticing things going well, when I'm not noticing the universe supporting me, when I can't remember the last time that happened. And you can go on this kind of yo-yo up and down. Like I know this because I've had periods of time in my life where the synchronicities and the signs and things have just been so unmistakable, like a wave pushing me forward, carrying me forward. And other times where it's felt like there's just nothing. And I'm in like a hibernation stage, and you start to sometimes question yourself or question life. And I think it's really important to share on this topic because I do get people emailing me and asking me, particularly after reading my books, Pinch Me and Going Out on a Limb, where I talk about following signs, and people wondering, well, I had these signs and now the signs have dried up and these great things happen, but now everything's going terribly and I don't understand why the universe isn't supporting me. So it's good to have the conversation. So let's break it down and look at it in more detail. So the universe does support you, but it's your life and you're the one that's got to live it. So you are half the equation. You want to think about like the universe is the petri dish that you are in. It's the environment that you are operating in, and you are the thing that is growing in the petri dish. Okay? You are half of the equation. Quite often in personal growth, law of attraction, manifestation language, spiritual language, we talk about co-creation, where you're creating your life, but you're co-creating it, meaning you are in unison, in partnership with the universe. You are in a team. You are half of the team. You understand that life supports you, the universe supports you, creation supports you, but you understand you have a part to play, and that part requires you to fully participate in your life. And you start to realize that no matter how much you think about the things that you want, and you visualize them, and you say all the right things, the universe isn't going to do everything else for you. You have to fully, fully, fully participate. You have to be in action. You have to live the words that you speak. You have to be the energy of what you think about. It's not just about, I want this, give it to me. No growth in that. No evolution in that. The universe has got no plan to just serve you up everything you want without you fully participating and evolving and growing through the process. Otherwise, what's the point? You'd be born, you'd write your list, you'd stick out your hand, it would all get put in your hand, and then what would be the point of the rest of your life? There's no point to that. So there is a growth and evolution process where you dance with and play with life. You learn how to create, you learn how to co-create. You enjoy certain aspects of that, and you go through some challenges as you get put under pressure. Diamonds are made under pressure, and you learn more about yourself, and you start to realize what doesn't work about the way that you're being, and you start to let go of your baggage and come into surrendered state and come into more peace and all these different things that we learn on the path of personal growth. If the universe just served you up everything you needed as soon as you decided upon it, where is the growth in that? There just isn't any. Like, I'm just really, really clear on that. That the challenges and the hard work and the growth that you do is by design, it's on purpose. How else would you grow? And you know what? One thing that's kind of helpful to remember is you signed up for it. I signed up for it. Everybody signed up for it. When we incarnated and we popped into our little bodies, we signed up for the ride called life, and the ticket read, I will ride this roller coaster. I will go through all the challenges. I will learn and grow. I will enjoy myself along the way. There'll be really cool stuff. There'll be really tough stuff, and it will all be well worth it. And I will learn how to create, how I am a creator, and how I dance in partnership with life and the universe around me. I always think that the ride of life is designed to wake you up to your inner power. That when you start to realize things aren't going well, often when you meet challenges, which when you're wondering, why is life not supporting me? That's a challenge, right? You're experiencing some kind of challenge and you're feeling unsupported. So you meet this challenge, and often you get to a point where if you don't get what you want, you have nowhere left to turn but to look back at yourself. This happens to almost everybody. You get so frustrated, you get to a certain point where you get so sad and so much pain that you've got nowhere left to look but who's looking back in the mirror. What that makes you do is it makes you go inside yourself. Critical point for your personal growth is going inside of yourself. Stopping looking at everybody else, stopping looking at circumstances, stop looking at what life is not giving you, where you're not getting your needs met, and looking within yourself. When you do that, you start to understand this deeper power that you have, and that it's got nothing to do with what you do, what you have, what you own, what you get. There's this very deep, otherworldly power within you. And life wants you to recognize that power. So it's going to push your buttons sometimes to get you to own that power and to stand in it and to learn to be peaceful no matter what's going on, and to learn that everything around you is going to come into alignment when you get into alignment within yourself. This is the universe doing you a favor, but it doesn't look like it on the surface. And so then we might shake our fist and get frustrated. But it's an important part to understand when we talk about how the universe is supporting you, how to trust the universe is supporting you. It's not always going to look like you think it should look from your personality self. Now, obviously, we've talked about, you ask for a sign, or you ask for guidance, you ask for support, you're manifesting or visualizing what you want, and it comes to fruition. That's a really cool example of your co-creative power with the universe, of you generating outcomes that work for you, but you know that there's something supporting you. You know it because you could not have engineered it by your own hand. Coincidences, synchronicities, all that kind of thing. Very, very cool. That's an easy way to understand how the universe supports you. Another interesting thing I want to tune you into, though, is how quite often we're so busy asking for what we want next that we miss what we're being served up right now. So you're so focused on what you don't have and where you want to get to that you don't realize you've just been supported by the universe in this very present moment by something perhaps very, very small. Or maybe it is something big and you don't even pause to acknowledge and celebrate it and give thanks for it because you've just tucked it under your belt and gone, of course, yes, that's what I wanted. And now I'm focusing on the next thing. And so be conscious of whether you're doing that, where you just completely overlook how the universe is supporting you because you don't even see it, because you're not present enough, still enough, and in relationship enough with the universe to acknowledge it and to see it to praise it and to be grateful. And of course, gratitude is one of the greatest energies that brings about more of that. Okay, more things to be grateful for. So what's that about? It's being in daily practice. Be in daily practice in relationship with the universe, with life, with source, with your, whatever you want to call it, your higher self or your soul, whatever. If you're religious, you might call it something else. So be in daily relationship with it. Don't just go to sit and feel its presence when you want something. What does it look like when two human beings are in relationship and one human being goes to a human being only when they want something? That's called being a drain. That's not a relationship. That's a one-way demand. It doesn't equal a healthy relationship. I want you to think about your relationship with the universe like a relationship with a human being. It's give and take. It's fostering and nourishing and loving and being present on a regular basis. Create a relationship with the universe. What does that mean? It just means be present. Take 5 minutes and be in gratitude today. Take 5 minutes and feel the presence of the life force in you and around you. Yeah, ask for things if you want things, ask for guidance, but be present as well. It's not all about getting my needs met. This whole energy of getting my needs met is very intense and there's nothing flowing and co-creative about that. So you want to get in a bit more joy and a bit more release around that, a bit more gratitude. So we're going to do an exercise now that's going to help you. I want you to look back over your life and I want you to name in a list, literally write it down, maybe 5 or 10 of the best things that have ever happened to you in your life. So it might be the birth of a child, it might be meeting a friend who became a lifelong friend, it might be how you met your current partner or spouse, it might be a fantastic job that you got, it might be some great party or experience or adventure or holiday that you went on. So just sit down and write down 10 of the best moments or experiences or things that have happened to you in your life. Now I want you to look at each one and I want to ask you to be very genuinely honest with yourself and say, could I have personally by my own hand engineered that exact unfolding for that outcome all on my little lonesome? With my little thinking mind, which is just filled with only the things that I've been taught growing up, my education, exposure, and experiences, that's all that's in my mind. It's a little regurgitating machine. And my 2 little hands. Could I have engineered that outcome? If you're really honest and you break it down, the answer will almost always be absolutely not. So then what supported those amazing things that have happened to you in your life? You may even be able to see very specifically the synchronicities, the coincidences, the amazing timing, right place, right time, divine unfolding and order that was at play in all of those things. That is how you trust that the universe is supporting you. You see the evidence of it in your life. Look back and you will be able to see it. And then you trust that. And you don't say to the universe, I know better, you should be supporting me right now. You understand that the universe knows far more than you. So if you're not seeing the support right now, if you're not getting the particular outcome you want, you need to chill out a little bit and understand that your tiny mind and my tiny mind, we've all got tiny minds, are just filled with information and data that we've picked up since we were born. The universe has got access to everything. It knows how to keep planets suspended in space. It knows how to make grass grow. It knows how to make a baby inside a human's body. The universe is incredibly freaking ridiculously intelligent, and it definitely knows better than we do with our thinking minds. So look back and see all the ways it's helped you and created amazing outcomes where you could not have engineered it yourself and it supported you. Remember that so that you have that evidence that you know support is there for you. It's been there for you before and it will be there for you again. And then remember, when it's not there, you have to have trust and faith that there is some bigger picture that you cannot see entirely from where you stand. Requires trust, requires faith, requires patience, and an acceptance of what is right now, a surrender, like let go of the steering wheel and trying to control the direction of it, and just sit with what you know, sit in gratitude, sit in clarity about where ideally you feel things would go, you would like things to go, but acknowledge that maybe the universe has got something even better in store for you. I've given some examples on previous videos and in my books about how the universe has just totally engineered things for me. And so many people have emailed me with their own examples of these things after reading my books. And it's just incredible when you sit in conversation and you reflect on your own examples of how the universe supports you. I know some of my best friends I've met totally by coincidence. soul sister connections with people that have been mentors and amazing supports to me, totally by coincidence, synchronicity, perfect timing. The way I met my husband, completely by coincidence, divine timing, just things falling into place. Even examples where people would say to me, well, I wrote on my list that one of the greatest things that ever happened to me is the birth of my child. And that was not the universe supporting me. I chose that. I chose to get pregnant, and then my wife and I, or my husband and I, or my partner and I went and we decided to make a baby. And no one else was involved in that. It was just us. And that's not the universe supporting me. So that's not a good example. Oh, you know what? Take a stand back. Do you think you have the power to make your body exactly create the baby? Do you think that you could literally program and say, yes, we're going to do this, and then the baby is going to be made this exact time at this exact moment? No. Everybody knows that. There is something that is supporting the timing of the creation of that little being, and you are participants in it, but you are not the only thing at play in that. And then you might say, as another example, well, the growth of my business, or my business doing X, Y, Z in the world, that is something that was one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life. And you know what? It wasn't the universe guiding me or supporting me or lifting me up. I did that of my own hard work. Like, I planned that intellectually, I strategized that, I executed my strategy, and it worked. And I would say, yeah, but could you engineer every single player in that? Could you engineer every single vendor and supplier? Could you engineer every single customer that happened to come across your website, that happened to get referred by word of mouth, that happened to find you and then happened to want to do business with you? No, there is something much bigger at play. There's almost no circumstances where you can say that you're not supported in those outcomes by something other than your own mind and your two hands. And if you say, yeah, but it was another person, what moved that person? What prompted that person? What flowed through that person? What nudged that person's intuition or their inspiration or their timing to be at that place at that time to engage with you? What moves all the pieces? And so you start to realize that really the universe is showing up constantly in support of you, but you want it to look a certain way. And if you lock onto that it has to look a certain way, you totally miss the blessings of the ways that it does show up for you. And last thing I would say about trusting how the universe supports you is coming back to this idea of challenges. Sometimes the difficulty is we feel the high times, we feel the good times, we feel the gratitude, and then we hit our natural challenges in life, periods of adversity, the normal things that happen as a human being on this ride called life. And we feel in those moments that we've been maybe abandoned by the universe, that we are not being supported, that things are not working out, we're confused about what's going on. We feel like everything's dried up, there's no flow, there's no signs, and why are things not happening for me? And it might even be something like you have something really bad happen and maybe you lose your job, or something terrible happens in your business, or a relationship ends and you're feeling really unsupported. And I just want to suggest to you, and I'm not saying that this is true for all cases, but sometimes what looks like things going wrong to our eyes and our mind are actually things that are going to trigger you either into a new understanding that is vital for your soul journey, or is going to bolster you to be something more of who you really are in a situation so that you can reach a higher potential, or you are getting bumped, nudged, kicked out of a situation so that you can get into one that is more aligned to you, so that you can move into something that's waiting for you. Because sometimes we don't do that for ourselves, and maybe the universe comes along to give us a bit of a nudge. And it may look like the loss, and it may look like something going wrong. And from our perspective, it's not pleasant. In fact, it can be completely traumatic, and we can be grief-stricken and very much feeling pain and suffering. And we might say in those circumstances, the universe is not supporting me. But that's our personality selves making a judgment call about a big picture we cannot see. And you cannot see it, and you cannot even know it until you are down the track further and you look back. And hindsight's a wonderful thing. Retrospect to see, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have moved on, and I wouldn't have met so-and-so, or I wouldn't have found this job, or I wouldn't have felt that whole new calling and passion and purpose, which then became this amazing thing in my life, or whatever it is. Or if I hadn't gone through that suffering, then I wouldn't have known how to help all these people that I'm now helping in my life. If I hadn't had that health problem, I wouldn't have seen that I was carrying this emotional baggage, or I wouldn't have seen that this was a really important balance to correct in my life. And then I wouldn't have been able to demonstrate it for my children or whatever. There's a million different things. The point is the universe is supporting you, and it's your attitude about it to make all the difference. You can choose to say every day, I'm supported, I'm supported, I'm supported, I'm supported. And I see it when it shows up, and when it doesn't show up, I know that it's still there. It's just not coming in the way that my mind likes to see it. That's a choice. Or you can do the alternative, which is yo-yo. I'm getting supported. Oh, it's so exciting. I'm not supported. Oh, this is so awful. I'm getting supported. I'm so excited. The universe isn't supporting me. I'm so upset about this. Something's wrong. There's something wrong with me. Something wrong with the universe. You know what? You have to snap out of that. I say it with love and respect because I've been there. Because I had that attitude a few times when I felt unsupported. And it just doesn't serve you. It's just a total waste of your energy, and it's not true. So I really encourage you to honor and love and respect the universe that you're in. It's in every cell of your body. It's all around you. But this ride called life of your experience from the day you're born till the day that you leave is not meant to be all roses and glory. And some of the toughest bits will be the making of you. And it doesn't mean the universe isn't supporting you when that happens. So do the exercise, look back on your life, go through each one that you notice in terms of the really great big things that have happened to you, and look and see how you couldn't have engineered that on your own. So there's plenty of examples of how the universe supports you. Be grateful, sit in gratitude about it, and enjoy whatever comes next on the ride, no matter whether it is the joy or whether it is the challenge and adversity. You have everything you need within you to face that and be the victor in that. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're on my website, you can sign up to my email list so I can continue to share more tips, tools, and resources like this. Thanks so much.